I remember when he died, coming home from the hospital, and a crisis worker was there. I really wish I could find her. And I just looked at her, and it was the most ridiculous thing to say, but I said, this just can't happen to anybody else. This is ridiculous. And that's when, now that Devin wasn't around and he was afraid of my advocating publicly, I just hit the ground running. And I did whatever I could. I was very open about Devin's death and how he died. I posted tons of stuff on Facebook. I did so much research. I joined heroin addiction support groups just so that I could get a better picture of other people's struggles. I reread Gabor Mate's book. I looked him up on YouTube. I did everything that I possibly could, stats, everything, and just kept posting and posting. And then Justine had known Devin and had counseled him, and she was terribly distraught by his death. So, we got to be friends, and she gave me so many different opportunities. I collaborated with Street Health to do the first International Overdose Awareness Day. And I was involved in a press conference, and I was very blunt and open about that, blunt about needing safe supply. Nobody believed that the deadly supply would come to Kingston. I said, just know that it is, and every other kind of drug will come to Kingston. We're not immune. I said that, other people, despite what they may think, coming up from an upper middle class background or being doctors or lawyers or, never having used drugs before or, everything. I said that it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care whether you're rich or poor or, have an education. And people, I would post in the McBurney Park neighborhood group, and I would get so much flack, you're crazy, this is ridiculous. And, I didn't care. I just kept saying what I needed to say and kept getting opportunities to speak publicly. I collaborated with Mutual Aid, Cataraqui, and Street Health because I was bound and determined to get naloxone in every city institution. We collaborated on that. I spoke and got deferred, of course. I realized that they hadn't even prepared. They didn't know anything about it, which was very maddening. But in the end, it got passed. And I really wanted naloxone to be in bars and restaurants as well. So I used to go to all the bars downtown, and I'd have a little chat with them. And they were so rude. Oh no, we don't have clients like that. And I'd say, have you checked the bathroom, the ceiling? And I would be incredibly blunt with them, and I'd say, look, it's either have naloxone in your establishment, or have somebody carried out in a body bag. It's not really good for business. And I'd get kicked out. But I didn't care. I didn't care. I just kept rolling along. It's funny, when I started working at the CTS, at the ICH, at the overdose prevention site, everybody was saying, are you crazy? You're walking into a landmine. And I said, no. And I sort of questioned whether watching people, use intravenous drugs would bother me, but it didn't. I felt, and I think it's because I knew that they were safe and that I could do something to help them if they overdosed. Because how I felt very helpless, that no matter what I did, I was up against a system that was so entirely messed up, and looked at addiction as a moral failing, when really it was just people who were in so much pain, trauma, physical pain, mental pain, in a system that was messed up, and particularly for people who use drugs, they weren't taken seriously. I'm a free thinker, so I didn't really think one way or the other about drugs. I kind of focused on his the mental health aspect, and to me that made sense. Of course, he would want to try other things when nothing else helped. So we talked and talked, and he would talk to me about the substances. I also, he had a really close friends group. Some of them were homeless, so I brought them into my fold. And they were really, really helpful. They would tell me that Devin wasn't doing well at all. They would tell me what substances he was using. They would tell me when I really needed to sort of, knuckle down in terms of support. I was in constant contact with the counselors at his school. I talked to them every day. He had help from them. So really, I did whatever I could do to support him and to support myself with the knowledge that I needed. And I got flack for that as well, because I wasn't kicking him out and locking the doors until he got clean for a year. I was taking people in who also struggled. But it was the best thing that I could have done, because, I worked hard to earn their respect and their trust. And in turn, they respected me and trusted me with info that, I think they would have been afraid to dispel otherwise. So we became this little misfit family, and, I practiced harm reduction before I even knew the word. So they used safely. They didn't bring, the substances into the house. There was a shed that they could use in. I just winged it. I just did what I thought was best for everybody, and totally went against the grain. And that's when I began to realize that my instincts were good, and that I didn't need to worry about them anymore. I wasn't fearful. I was fearless. I realized that I was far more strong and resilient than I had ever given myself credit for. And stubborn in a good way. I just would not give up, and I would not put up with other people's opinions. And what I would say to parents who are facing the same thing I did was listen to your kids. Listen to your kids. We come from a different generation. These kids know what they're talking about. They have thoughts and feelings that are really, really important. And we need to give them a voice, and we need to give other people a voice, because we don't know everything. Maybe we're adults and they're not, but that doesn't mean that we know everything. It doesn't even mean that we're more intelligent than them. So, open up your heart and your mind. Let the stigma go and just trust your gut. Engage with them. Engage with their friends. Let them tell you what's important to them. And then when you do that, that's where trust is built. And it's not them having to respect us. It's us, earning their trust and their respect, and creating an environment where they feel okay to struggle, and that they'll be met with support every single time, no matter what. But I think a lot of parents, I talked about this before, the capitalist system sucks. And we're all groomed for addiction in one way or the other. And it tells us that, we have to behave a certain way in order to be successful, which is garbage. Success to me is being a good person, being a compassionate person, giving people a voice, being non-judgmental. It has nothing to do with money or status or any of those things. It's community and connection. And that's something that this system does not value at all. And when one person in our community is sick, we're all sick. We're all sick under this system, and it's got to change.